Hi, we're here with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal National Wildlife Refuge. We have a really historic day for conservation, and we've got Teo Stein, who's been working on today's announcement and been involved in this. So he's going to give the big news, Teo.
Hi, today the Fish and Wildlife Service announced that the greater sage-grouse does not need protection of the Endangered Species Act. After a thorough review of all of the best available commercial and scientific information, services determined that the birds are still abundant and well distributed across the range, and a lot of the threats that we identified in 2010 have been addressed by a remarkable conservation partnership put together by federal agencies, by state agencies, by private landowners, by industry, and by conservationists. It's really a different way of doing conservation in the 21st century for a magnificent bird that just got flattened by the 20th century.
And Teo, our online audience is getting really excited about sage-grouse, and they're excited to hear about the announcement that you're talking.
So I guess we're going to take questions if they want to call in.
Yep, we'll have questions from the audience.
So this is a bird that is millions of years old, and it is a bird of tough country. Sagebrush is bone dry in summer, and it's bitter cold in winter. And these birds live out there and eat a bush that is toxic to most other plants or most other animals. Sage-grouse are what's known as a lekking species. So the males gather every spring and do this funny and wild and hugely energetic dance for months and months at a time in order to try and attract a mate. They require big open spaces, and as we've seen in the 20th century, a lot of the development has cut into these spaces and has made their habitat less valuable.
Teo, we've got a question of where is the most common geographical habitat and what states are involved?
The sage-grouse lives in 11 western states. The stronghold of the species is Wyoming. Montana is also very important, and so are the Great Basin states of Nevada and Oregon. But all of the 11 states are important for the bird because of the remaining sagebrush habitat that they have.
So are they still on the endangered list?
They never were on the endangered list. In 2010, we determined that they warranted protection, but we had other higher priorities, and they were placed on the candidate list, which is kind of a waiting list. And what we did today was we looked at that waiting list designation and found that it does not deserve to be on the waiting list anymore because of the conservation actions that have been done.
Fragmented habitat, is that a huge problem for species of concern such as sage-grouse?
Habitat loss and fragmentation is the problem, and there are a number of different causes for this. In the eastern part of the range, it can be oil and gas development and associated infrastructure like transmission lines. In the western part of the range in the Great Basin, often it is the vicious cycle of cheatgrass and wildfire.
I think we'll end on a funny note. We had a question here whether or not you think this would be a good college football mascot.
The fighting sage hen, I'm sure there's one out there, and I'd like to see that costume if you can design one for us.
Well, thanks again for tuning in.